The loudest roar a lion can ever give is silence. My friends, what if I told you that the most dangerous move you could ever make after they walk away is to say nothing at all? Not a word, not a text, not a call, just stone-cold silence. People think silence is weakness, that it means you have nothing to say, but here's the truth. Silence is pressure. Silence is power. Silence is the one thing they never trained for, and it rattles their soul far more than any words ever could. Stay with me, because today I'm going to show you why no contact hurts them more than you know. Before we go any further, do me one favor. Smash that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. And at the end, I want you to comment these words: "My silence is my weapon." Hey folks, imagine this. Imagine walking into a dark cave. You expect to hear the drip of water, maybe the flutter of bats, maybe even your own echo bouncing back. But instead, you hear nothing. Just silence so deep it feels heavy, so quiet it almost screams. That's what no contact does. It takes away the noise they were expecting, and it leaves them alone with their own thoughts. And let me tell you, my friends, their thoughts are not kind company at 2 a.m. You've been lied to your whole life. You've been told that real love means chasing, proving, explaining yourself over and over again. You've been told that if someone walks away, you have to run after them to show your loyalty. But the truth? That's not strength. That's self-betrayal. Begging doesn't make you a man, it makes you predictable. And nothing kills attraction faster than predictability. Here's what they don't tell you. People don't fear losing love. They fear losing control. When you go no contact, you're not just cutting communication. You're cutting the strings they thought they had wrapped around you. That's why it hurts them. That's why it shakes them. It's not about your absence. It's about their loss of control. Think about it. A fisherman doesn't panic when he feels the fish pulling on the line. He panics when the line goes slack. When you go silent, you cut the line. Suddenly they can't pull, they can't tug, they can't test if you're still hooked. You're gone, and that absence drives them insane. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That's the heart of no contact. It's not about tricking them into missing you. It's about mastering yourself, refusing to hand your peace to someone who dropped it carelessly. When you stop reacting, you stop bleeding power. When you stop chasing, you start rising. And let's be honest, folks, sometimes we've all been that guy, the one blowing up the phone, writing long paragraphs, checking her stories like they hold some secret code. You think you're fighting for love, but what you're really doing is digging yourself deeper into weakness. It's like pouring water into the ocean. You'll never fill what's already bottomless. But when you step back, when you choose silence, something changes. You go from being predictable to being mysterious, from being controlled to being uncontrollable. And that shift, my friends, that's the beginning of true power. So here's the fun part. When you disappear, they don't see a breakup anymore. They see a ghost. You haunt them. Your silence follows them into the night, into the party, into every moment they thought they'd feel free. That's why no contact works. It isn't revenge. It isn't even about them. It's revelation. It reveals their weakness and your strength. And here's where I want to leave you as we dive deeper. No contact is not punishment. It's protection. It protects your identity, your worth, your focus. It transforms you from a man who explains into a man who creates, from a man who begs into a man who builds. So stay with me, because by the end of this, you won't just understand why no contact hurts them more, you'll feel it in your bones. And right now, type it in the comments, "My silence is my weapon." Hit that like button, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's step into the silence together. Number 1. Silence creates the loudest echo. The absence of noise can be louder than any scream. Think about that for a second, my friends. Silence, pure, stone-cold silence, has a way of drilling into the mind far deeper than words ever could. It's not the arguments, it's not the shouting, it's not the paragraphs of texts that leave a mark. It's the vacuum you create when you walk away and say nothing. That silence echoes inside their chest like footsteps in an empty hallway. They thought they would hear you scrambling, they thought they would feel your panic, but instead they're left with the deafening sound of nothing. Imagine this, a stage set for a grand performance. The lights are up, the audience is waiting, and the actor is supposed to appear. Everyone expects the entrance, the applause, the words, but the curtain rises, and there is no one there. Just an empty stage. That's what no contact feels like to them. They expected a scene. They expected noise. They expected the comfort of knowing you'd perform your part in their drama. But instead, they're staring at an empty stage, and the silence becomes unbearable. This is where the fear begins. The questions creep in when they lay in bed at night, staring at the ceiling. Why haven't they called? Why haven't they texted? Why didn't they watch my story? Did they move on already? Did they replace me? The mind hates a void, folks, and when you give them silence, they fill that void with their own worst fears. That's the echo. They keep replaying scenarios, imagining possibilities, and none of them bring peace. Here's the lie you were taught, that talking fixes things, that communication is always the answer. You've heard it 1,000,000 times. If you love someone, you have to talk it out. But not every conversation heals. Sometimes words are weapons used against you. Sometimes words are fuel for their ego, and sometimes words are just a way of keeping you chained to something that was already dead. Stoicism teaches the opposite, that restraint, control, and silence often carry the strongest message. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Silence, my friends, is the discipline of power. But let's be honest, it's hard. Because the first instinct after they leave is to make noise. You want to defend yourself, to explain, to argue, to make them understand. You feel like silence means surrender. But that's the lie of emotion. Silence is not surrender. Silence is strategy. Every time you resist the urge to send a text, every time you hold back from explaining your worth, you are sharpening your weapon. You're teaching yourself patience, composure, and strength. And while you're sitting in stillness, they're the ones being haunted by the quiet. Think of silence like standing in front of a mirror. They expect to see a reflection, a reaction, something bouncing back. But instead, they see nothing, and that nothing forces them to face themselves. That's what terrifies them. They can't measure their worth against your reaction anymore. They can't use your energy to feed their ego anymore. The silence exposes them. And let's go even deeper. When you go no contact, you deny them the drama they thought they'd have. They were prepared for chaos, maybe even looking forward to it, because chaos reassures them they mattered. It tells them they're unforgettable. But when you give them nothing, no fight, no pleas, no tears, you've broken the script. You've become unpredictable, and unpredictability, my friends, is intoxicating. It leaves them restless, pacing, refreshing their notifications, searching for signs that you still care. Here's the truth that flips everything. Silence isn't emptiness. Silence is presence. It's a presence so heavy it crushes their expectations. It's the pressure of knowing you're out there, alive, breathing, not chasing them, not begging them, not collapsing without them. That's why silence hurts them more. It forces them to realize they weren't as necessary to your survival as they imagined. And yes, it's difficult, because silence means you have to sit with your own storm too. You'll feel the urge to break it, to reach out, to prove something. But remember this: the man or woman who masters silence masters themselves, and the one who masters themselves can never be controlled by anyone else. That's why Stoicism calls silence not weakness, but sovereignty. Picture a lighthouse in the middle of a storm. It doesn't shout, it doesn't chase ships, it doesn't beg to be noticed. It just stands, silent and immovable, while the waves crash around it. And yet every ship on the sea sees it. That's you when you embrace silence. That's the echo you create, not through noise, but through presence, through stillness, through unshakable discipline. So folks, don't be fooled by the lie that silence means indifference or weakness. Silence is the hardest, strongest, most deliberate move you can make. It's not revenge, it's revelation. It reveals who they are without your constant attention. It reveals who you are when you stop explaining yourself. And it reveals a truth they never wanted to face: that you were strong enough to let go. And here's where you rise. Every time you resist the urge to break the silence, you're building your backbone. Every time you stay still while they expect noise, you're creating an echo in their mind that will haunt them long after the breakup. Because silence is not the end of the conversation, it's the beginning of a new one. A conversation they'll have with themselves over and over again. Write this in the comments right now: my silence echoes power. Show them, show yourself, and show the world around you that you don't need noise to prove your worth. Stay disciplined, stay silent, stay sovereign, and stay with me, because next we're going to dive even deeper into why absence is the deadliest form of presence. Number 2, absence attacks the ego. It is not love they miss. It is the reflection of themselves in your attention. Let's get brutally honest, my friends. When people walk away, they don't expect to lose you. They expect to keep you orbiting. They expect to stay the sun, with you as the planet circling around, checking their profile, asking mutual friends, dropping late-night texts, proving you're still under their gravity. But when you go no contact, when you vanish without noise, you rip away the mirror they were using to feed their ego. And that absence, that's not just quiet, it's a direct attack on their sense of importance. Picture a performer on stage, waiting for applause. They finish their act, they bow, and nothing. No claps, no cheers, just silence. Suddenly, the spotlight feels heavier, the stage feels colder, and the performer begins to question if they ever mattered at all. That's what absence does to them. They expected the applause of your attention, the reassurance that even if they left, you'd still validate their worth. But your silence? It leaves them standing in the dark with no audience. And that emptiness, folks, cuts deeper than any words you could have said. Here's the lie you've been told: they miss you. No, most times they don't miss you. They miss the attention you gave them, the certainty of your energy always being available. They miss the way you made them feel about themselves. That's ego. That's control. And when you cut off contact, you cut off their supply. It's like pulling a plug from the wall. The lights go out, and suddenly they realize just how much they relied on your energy to keep their ego lit. This is where the spiral begins. Because human nature hates uncertainty. When you were texting, calling, explaining, they knew their place. They knew they were unforgettable to you. But silence? Silence plants doubt. Doubt grows into questions. Questions grow into fear. Why haven't they reached out? Are they already with someone else? Did I overestimate my value to them? The more they wonder, the heavier your absence feels. Marcus Aurelius said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." You don't fight their ego with your own ego. You fight it by stepping out of the game entirely. No contact isn't about pretending you don't care. It's about truly detaching, truly stepping back, truly leaving them without the reflection they use to feed off. And in that void, their ego shrivels. But let's be clear, this is not easy. because your emotions will beg you to break the silence. You'll feel that burning urge to remind them of what they lost, to prove your worth, to scream your value into their empty space. But my friends, that's how you lose. Every time you give them your attention after they walked, you hand them fuel for their ego. Every time you explain, you reinforce their belief that they mattered more than you. Absence attacks their ego because it denies them what they crave the most: confirmation. Think of absence like a locked door. They walk up, expecting it to swing open, but it doesn't. They jiggle the handle, knock on the wood, peer through the keyhole. Nothing. That door doesn't move, doesn't crack, doesn't give them a glimpse inside. And the longer it stays closed, the more obsessed they become with what's behind it. That's your silence. That's your absence, and that's why it haunts them. And yes, they may play it cool. They may post pictures, show off like they're living their best life, act like nothing phases them. But don't be fooled. Ego thrives on being fed, and when you cut off its food source, it starves in the dark. Behind the posts, behind the smiles, behind the fake confidence, your absence is gnawing at them. Because here's the secret. They weren't prepared for a version of you who could walk away and never look back. Absence flips the dynamic. They thought you needed them. Now they wonder if maybe, just maybe, they were the ones who needed you all along. That's the shift. That's the sting. And it doesn't come from noise. It comes from silence. So remember this. Absence is not passive. Absence is active power. It works while you sleep, while you build, while you rise. It attacks their ego without you lifting a finger, without you sending a single text. And the longer you hold the line, the more powerful it becomes. Write this in the comments right now. My absence speaks louder. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that you don't need to prove your value by pouring attention into someone who undervalued it. Stay strong, stay silent, stay sovereign, and stay with me, because next we're going to reveal how no contact flips control and why they're the ones who start losing it first. Number 3, their control slips first. The moment you stop responding, you stop being controlled. My friends, let's tell the truth most people don't want to face. When they left, they thought they had the power. They believed you'd still be there in their back pocket, waiting for a chance, checking their stories, holding on to hope like a leash they could tug whenever they felt like it. That's the illusion of control. They walk away, but they still expect to keep you emotionally tied. And that's why no contact hurts them more than anything else, because the second you go silent, the leash snaps. Suddenly, they can't pull you back. They can't test the waters. They can't poke at your emotions to see if you'll still react. That's when their control begins to slip. Picture a puppeteer with strings. The show looks alive as long as the puppeteer pulls and the puppet reacts. But what happens when the strings get cut? The puppeteer is left holding nothing, staring at their empty hands, powerless. That's what your silence does. It cuts the strings. They realize the power they thought they had over you was only real as long as you allowed it. The moment you stop responding, you stop dancing. And nothing terrifies someone who feeds off control more than realizing they never had it in the first place. Here's the trap most fall into. When they leave, you think, if I explain myself, if I fight for this, if I just show them my worth, they'll come back. But in reality, every message, every call, every paragraph of explanation is just proof that they still own your emotional world. It tells them they can walk away and still control your reactions. It tells them they can break your heart and still expect you to chase. That's not love, that's leverage. And leverage, my friends, is what they lose the moment you embrace silence. This is why silence is so heavy. Because without your reaction, without your energy, without your constant presence, they're left with their own thoughts. And in those thoughts, the questions begin. Why aren't they chasing me? Did I misjudge my importance? Did I overestimate my hold on them? Doubt starts to poison the confidence they had when they walked away. They thought you'd break. Instead, you broke free. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." That's the essence of no contact. You take the power back by controlling your own reactions. You don't stop them from leaving. You don't try to force their choices. You simply stop feeding them the illusion that they still own you. And the beauty is, the less you respond, the more they realize how much control is slipping through their hands. Think of it like a game of tug-of-war. For as long as you're pulling back, they feel strong, they feel powerful, they feel in control of the rope. But the second you let go, they fall backward, flat on their back, shocked that the game ended without warning. That's what happens when you go silent. You stop playing, and the control they thought they had collapses under its own weight. Now, don't get me wrong, it won't feel easy. Because your emotions will scream at you to grab the rope again, to pull back, to prove you're still in the game. But that's exactly what they want. They want you tied up, predictable, feeding their sense of power. The discipline of no contact is knowing that real strength isn't in holding on, it's in letting go. And here's the twist. The longer you stay silent, the more they notice the imbalance. They expected you to lose your composure, but instead, they're the ones losing theirs. They expected you to fight for control, but now they're the ones scrambling to figure out what went wrong. You flip the script without saying a single word. Your silence becomes a mirror. It shows them their own weakness, their own need for control, their own inability to let go as easily as they thought. And the more they try to guess, the more they realize the leash is gone. That's why no contact is not just powerful, it's devastating, because it proves the one thing they never wanted to believe: you didn't need them. So folks, remember this. When you stop responding, you stop being controlled. That's the moment everything changes. Their confidence turns to confusion, their power turns to panic, and their control slips through their fingers like sand in the wind. Write this in the comments right now. I cut the strings. Show them, show yourself, and show the world around you that you're not a puppet in anyone's show. You're sovereign, you're silent, you're strong. And stay with me, because next we'll reveal how no contact doesn't just strip their control, it exposes the truth they were running from all along. Number 4. No contact exposes the truth. Silence is not empty, it is full of answers. My friends, let's strip this down to the bone. When you cut off contact, you're not just stepping back. You're holding up a mirror they can't escape from. Because silence doesn't just starve them of attention, it forces them to confront the very truth they've been running from. Noise can hide reality, distractions can keep illusions alive, but silence removes the mask. Imagine a house that's been filled with music, laughter, and conversation. The moment the music stops, you hear the creaks in the floor, the dripping of a leaky faucet, the groan of old pipes. The flaws were always there, but the noise covered them. That's what no contact does. It cuts off the noise, and suddenly they hear the truth, their choices, their mistakes, their broken patterns. When you were talking, chasing, explaining, you gave them a shield from reality. They didn't have to sit with the consequences of their decisions because your voice filled the silence. Your presence softened the blow. But when you disappear, they're left alone with their own thoughts. And let me tell you, folks, those thoughts are merciless. The silence becomes a courtroom, and the verdict is written on their conscience. Here's the hard truth. People leave because they think they can do better, or because they believe you'll still be there no matter what. But no contact shatters that illusion. It reveals the truth they didn't expect. You were not dependent. You were not broken. You were not theirs to toy with. That's the sting. They expected to see you unravel, but instead they see you vanish. and in that absence, their truth comes crashing in. Marcus Aurelius once said, "If someone is able to show me that what I think or do is not right, I will happily change, for I seek the truth." But here's the thing, most people don't seek the truth. They run from it. And when you go no contact, you strip away the escape routes. There are no texts to dissect, no posts to interpret, no emotional essays to reassure them they still matter. Just silence. And in that silence, truth becomes unavoidable. But let's not sugarcoat it. This is difficult for you too, because silence exposes your truth as well. It shows you where your identity was tied up in their validation. It shows you how much of your energy went into keeping them happy, keeping them present, keeping them from leaving. And now that they're gone, you're faced with the raw question, who am I without them? That's the weight of silence. It doesn't just reveal their truth, it reveals yours. Think of no contact as a spotlight in a dark room. When the light comes on, there's nowhere to hide. Dust, cracks, broken furniture, it all gets exposed. They wanted the noise to drown it out, but silence shines the spotlight. They see their own ego, they see their own selfishness, they see the reality of what they lost and who they underestimated, and that realization is brutal. Here's what's really happening. While you're sitting in stillness, rebuilding yourself, they're sitting in the storm of their own mind. They're asking, did I make a mistake? Why haven't they reached out? Was I really that forgettable? Or did I just push away someone I'll never replace? These aren't just questions, they're daggers of truth. And no contact drives them deeper every single day. Dark psychology teaches us that unpredictability creates tension. Your silence makes you unpredictable. They can't read you anymore. They can't control the narrative. They can't measure their worth by your reactions. And that lack of control forces them to see the truth. They no longer have you, and they can't get you back on demand. This is why no contact is not revenge. It's revelation. It reveals their truth, your truth, and the truth of the relationship. If they left because they thought they could do better, silence shows them what better really looks like. Empty, hollow, regretful. If they left because they assumed you'd chase, silence proves them wrong. If they left because they couldn't value your presence, silence forces them to face the weight of your absence. So folks, don't break the silence just to soothe your emotions. Don't break it because you want to prove a point. The point is already being made every second you stay quiet. The silence itself is the message, the mirror, the revelation. And the longer you hold it, the louder that truth becomes inside their head. Write this in the comments right now. My silence reveals truth. Show them, show yourself, and show the world that you don't need to speak to prove your worth. Stay silent, stay sovereign, and stay strong. Because next, we'll expose the law of scarcity and why what becomes rare always becomes irresistible. Number 5. The scarcity principle always wins. What is rare is desired. What is common is forgotten. My friends, let's uncover one of the oldest truths in human psychology. People don't value what they can reach anytime they want. They don't cherish what's always available. They don't crave what's always within arm's length. The human mind is wired to chase what feels scarce, what feels rare, what feels like it could disappear forever. And that's why no contact cuts so deep, because suddenly you're not there. Suddenly you're not available. Suddenly they can't just dial your number and get the same comfort, the same reassurance, the same loyalty. You become rare, and when you become rare, you become valuable. Picture this. A child with a toy box overflowing with toys. They'll toss one aside, lose another under the bed, ignore half of them. But the second one toy goes missing, the second it's no longer in their reach. That's the one they want. That's the one they cry for. That's the one they can't stop thinking about. Adults aren't much different, folks. What they take for granted in abundance, they suddenly obsess over in absence. That's the lie you were told, that if you keep showing up, if you keep giving more, if you keep proving your love, they'll eventually see your worth. But that's not how it works. Familiarity dulls appreciation. Predictability kills attraction. What's always there becomes background noise. And you, my friends, were never meant to be background noise. You were meant to be a force, a presence, a storm that commands attention. No contact flips the dynamic. You stop being constant and you start being scarce. They can't predict your moves. They can't count on your texts. They can't rely on your presence. And that scarcity stirs something primal in them. It's the same principle that makes diamonds valuable while sand is overlooked. Both are stones, but one is everywhere and the other is rare. Which one do people chase? Always the rare one. Marcus Aurelius said, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight." When you remove yourself, you create change. And that change reveals your value in a way no explanation ever could. Because your silence teaches a lesson words never will. Access to you is not guaranteed. Now let's be honest, it feels unnatural at first. You'll feel the urge to prove yourself, to remind them of your value. But the truth is, proving never works. Scarcity does. Because it's not about what you say, it's about what they feel when you're no longer there. When the calls go unanswered, when the stories aren't viewed, when the texts don't get replies, the scarcity starts working its magic. They begin to wonder, did I lose something rare? Did I push away something I'll never find again? That question eats at them in a way your begging never could. Think of it like water in a desert. When it's abundant, people waste it, they pour it without thought, but when it becomes scarce, every drop is priceless. That's the energy you create when you walk away in silence. You go from being the ocean they took for granted to the drop of water they can't stop thirsting for. And thirst, my friends, is the beginning of regret. And here's where the power grows. Scarcity makes them restless, but it also makes you stronger. Because while they're chasing ghosts in their mind, you're focused on yourself. You're building, growing, leveling up. And the gap between who you were when they left and who you become in your silence only makes your absence heavier. They don't just miss you, they miss the version of themselves that felt powerful when they had you. And now that power is gone. This is why no contact isn't a game, it's a law. The law of scarcity. The less of you they can reach, the more of you they desire. The less you give, the more valuable you become. And the moment you realize that, you stop trying to convince anyone of your worth. You simply let scarcity speak louder than words. So remember this, folks. Your presence was never cheap. Don't discount it by giving it away to those who couldn't see its worth. Make them feel the scarcity. Let them learn the hard way that access to you was a privilege, not a right. Write this in the comments right now. I am rare value. Show them, show yourself, and show the world that you're done being taken for granted. Stay disciplined, stay silent, stay sovereign, and stay with me, because next we'll step into the mirror of regret and reveal why your absence always shows them more than your presence ever did. Number 6. The mirror of regret. Regret is the ghost that visits at 2 a.m. when silence is loudest. My friends, this is where it starts to sting them the most. Not in the daytime when distractions are plenty, not when they're out with friends pretending life is good. It's in the quiet hours. When the party is over, when the phone battery is low, when the world slows down and all they're left with is themselves. That's when your absence becomes a mirror. And in that mirror, regret stares back at them with a face they can't escape. Think about it. When you were there, they had noise. They had your calls, your attention, your presence to drown out doubt. But when you walked away in silence, you left them with a void. And human beings hate voids. They fill them with thoughts, with what-ifs, with memories they once dismissed. Suddenly, they start replaying conversations, rereading messages, scanning for clues. Why did I walk away? Did I misjudge their worth? Did I throw away something irreplaceable? Those questions aren't your punishment to them. They're the seeds of regret, watered every day by your silence. Here's the lie you've been told. Regret only comes from missing love. Wrong. Most times, regret comes from losing control. When they had you, they had certainty. They could count on your replies, on your presence, on your loyalty. But when you vanish, they lose that certainty. And the mind despises uncertainty. It gnaws at the ego. It eats at their confidence. It forces them to confront a brutal truth. They weren't as important as they thought. That's the regret that burns. Not losing you, but realizing they no longer control you. Picture someone tossing a boomerang, confident it'll come back. They laugh as it sails away. But what happens when it never returns? At first, they shrug it off. But slowly, they start to wonder, did I throw it too hard? Did I lose it for good? Will I ever get it back? That's how your silence feels. They expected you to return like you always did. But when you don't, the silence shows them the truth. They miscalculated, and in that miscalculation, regret takes root. Marcus Aurelius once said, "It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live." In the same way, it is not losing you they fear most. It's realizing they never valued you while they had the chance. No contact makes them live with that reality. Your silence doesn't let them escape into illusions. It forces them to confront the fact that they underestimated you. And nothing breeds regret faster than underestimating someone who refuses to play small anymore. But here's where it gets heavy for you too. Because when you cut contact, you're not just exposing their regret. You're staring into your own reflection. You'll feel the urge to break the silence, to test if they regret it, to check if they miss you. That's the trap. Regret is their lesson, not your responsibility. Your job is to stay silent long enough for that mirror to do its work. Because regret only grows in absence. It cannot grow if you keep showing up to comfort them. Think of your silence like an unanswered doorbell. They press it once, twice, 3 times. At first, they're annoyed. Then, they're anxious. Finally, they're desperate. They walk away, but they can't stop thinking about what's behind the door. That's the mirror of regret. It shows them what they lost, what they can't reach anymore, and what they may never touch again. And that image lingers far longer than any argument you could have had. This is the cold truth, folks. They may not regret losing you immediately. Ego delays it. Pride hides it. But the silence you hold is patient. It waits. It digs. It reveals. And one night, when they least expect it, regret shows up uninvited. Not because you punished them, but because you protected yourself. And protection always exposes the truth, that you were worth more than they ever admitted. So let the mirror do its work. Don't break it with desperate words. Don't shatter it by chasing validation. Stand firm in silence and let regret find them on its own, because trust me, it will. Write this in the comments right now. My silence is their mirror. Show them, show yourself, show the world around you that you're done chasing, done proving, done begging. Stay sovereign, stay silent, stay powerful, and stay with me, because next we'll reveal why, while they're stuck in regret, you'll be busy building an empire they can never touch again. Number 7, you build while they break. The best revenge is massive success. My friends, here's where the story takes its final turn. While they're stuck replaying the past, you're busy creating a future. While they're scrolling, hoping for a sign that you're still watching, you're stacking bricks in silence, bricks of discipline, purpose, and power. And nothing, absolutely nothing, eats away at someone more than realizing the person they thought would crumble without them is thriving without their presence. Think about it like this. Imagine two people after an earthquake. One sits in the rubble, crying over what collapsed, waiting for someone to rebuild it for them. The other? He picks up the debris, lays the first stone, and starts building a fortress. That's you, my friends. They expected you to sit in the ruins. But your silence isn't wasted, it's invested. Every day you choose no contact, you're not just ignoring them. You're pouring energy back into yourself. This is why no contact hurts them more than you know, because while they're checking their phone, refreshing feeds, wondering if you'll crack, you're rising. You're in the gym, turning heartbreak into strength. You're learning skills, reading books, building your craft. You're out there sharpening your mind and your body while they're chasing distractions to avoid the echo of their regret. And one day, without even trying, they'll see it. They'll see the glow-up. They'll see the man or woman who no longer needs them, who never needed them, who became unstoppable because of the very silence they thought would break you. Here's the hard truth. Most people waste their pain. They drown it in alcohol, in rebound relationships, in endless scrolling. But the Stoic mindset flips pain into purpose. Marcus Aurelius said, "What stands in the way becomes the way." The breakup wasn't the end of you, it was the beginning of you. It wasn't a wall, it was a doorway. And every rep, every late night of discipline, every choice to stay silent instead of chasing, that's you walking through the doorway into a version of yourself they will never have access to again. And let me tell you why this stings them. Because people don't regret leaving someone who begged, they regret leaving someone who built. They regret the one who disappeared, not into bitterness, but into greatness. They thought they ended your story. Instead, they just wrote the first chapter of your empire. Picture this. They log on one day and see you, not broken, not bitter, but glowing, building, thriving. They scroll through your silence looking for cracks, but instead, they find strength, and it eats them alive. Because your growth is proof of their mistake. Your success is the echo of their loss. But here's where you must be clear, folks. You don't build for them. You don't grind so they can regret. You build because that's who you were always meant to be. They were the storm that revealed your strength. They were the fire that forged your steel. And your silence? That was the soil where your empire started to grow. So the question is simple. Are you going to sit in the ashes, or are you going to rise in the fire? Are you going to waste your silence waiting for their message, or are you going to use it to craft a life so powerful, so magnetic, that they'll regret underestimating you for the rest of their days? This is where you flip the script for good. You stop being the man or woman who explains, who waits, who obsesses. You become the one who builds, the one who rises, the one who makes silence not just a weapon, but a foundation. Write this in the comments right now. I build while they break. Let the world see it. Let them see it. Let yourself believe it. Because the truth is, your silence isn't just hurting them. It's healing you. It's remaking you. It's transforming you into someone stronger, sharper, and untouchable. So hit that like button, subscribe, and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. Stay sovereign, stay silent, and stay strong. Because this isn't the end, it's the beginning of the empire they'll never be part of again.